Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. We're about to explore a really important topic in love and relationships. The title of our presentation is The One Question We Forget to Ask Ourselves in Love and Why It Matters. Over the next few minutes, we'll uncover why this question is so crucial, what it reveals about ourselves, and how it can transform the way we connect with others. So let's get started. Love often sweeps us into its current, pulling us along with a rush of excitement and emotion. The thrill of meeting someone new, the undeniable chemistry of attraction, and the joy that companionship brings can make us overlook deeper truths about the relationship. But as the initial spark begins to settle, many of us are left with a quiet, often unsettling question. Is this person truly the one for me? It's a question that many tend to avoid, sometimes out of fear, sometimes because we don't want to face the possibility of disappointment, or maybe because we hope everything will just work itself out in time. However, neglecting to ask ourselves this question can have serious consequences. It can lead to years of feeling misaligned, emotionally drained, or even experiencing heartbreak. So, in this part of the presentation, I want us to explore why this question really matters. And more importantly, I want to point out the signs that might indicate your partner isn't actually the right one for you. Because understanding these signs early on can save us from a lot of pain down the road and help us make more mindful decisions about our relationships. When love becomes conditional, it often shows up as someone expecting you to change. True love, at its core, supports growth, encouraging you to be your best self. But it doesn't demand that you erase who you are. If your partner is constantly pointing out flaws with the idea of fixing you, or if they have an invisible checklist of who you should be, that's a red flag. That's when the relationship shifts from healthy to unhealthy. Healthy growth means encouragement that uplifts and brings out your strengths. It's about supporting your journey and accepting your quirks, vulnerabilities, and authentic self. On the other hand, unhealthy change happens when there's pressure to alter your core identity just to meet someone else's expectations. A partner who can't embrace your true self, your quirks, your vulnerabilities, isn't really building a future with you. Instead, they're trying to reshape you into their idea of love. And that's not sustainable or genuine. Remember, love should celebrate who you are, not try to turn you into someone else. Let's talk about reliability as a test of trust. You see, partnership isn't about dependency. It's about mutual reliability. Even the strongest individuals need reassurance that their partner will stand beside them when things get tough. If your partner vanishes during your hardest moments, your foundation of trust begins to weaken. Similarly, if you're constantly unsure whether they'll show up when it matters most, your relationship lacks that sense of security we all need. A truly committed partner is just there during the good times. They're steadfast in struggle too. That consistency builds trust and deepens your connection. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's look at misaligned values. Shared values are like the compass guiding a lasting relationship. Of course, couples don't need to have identical tastes, but they do need to be aligned on some core life questions. For example, how do you see money? Is it primarily for security, for freedom, or for power? When it comes to family, do you both want children, marriage, or value independence? And what about intimacy and lifestyle? Do you share similar views on closeness, career priorities, or spiritual beliefs? When these fundamental values aren't aligned, it can create tension, like walking side by side but heading toward different destinations. Without that shared foundation, the relationship risks becoming a tug-of-war instead of a journey together. Let's talk about the silent relationship killer. They hear but don't listen. You see, communication isn't just about exchanging words. It's really about understanding each other. When your partner constantly dismisses your feelings, avoids compromise, or refuses to meet you halfway, emotional distance starts to grow. Real listening, the kind that truly helps, is active. It involves validating what your partner says, clarifying when needed, and responding with empathy. That kind of listening makes your partner feel heard and understood. On the other hand, superficial listening, nodding along without really paying attention, can lead to resentment. It's like pretending to listen but actually ignoring what's being said. Over time, that creates a gap that's hard to bridge. And as John Gottman's research shows us, unresolved conflicts don't just go away. They slowly wear down the intimacy in a relationship, kind of like water slowly eroding stone. So, paying attention to how we listen is crucial if we want to build a stronger, more connected partnership. Let's talk about intuition, that quiet voice inside us that we often can't ignore. You know, those gut feelings that seem to alert us when something's not quite right. Sometimes, your heart might refuse to see the warning signs, but your body is actually sending you signals. If you keep feeling uneasy or sensing that something off, it's worth paying attention to that instinct. Now, it's important to understand that intuition isn't paranoia or mere anxiety. It's actually an unconscious reading of patterns and subtle cues that our mind picks up on. When we ignore these signals, we might end up prolonging pain or difficulties that could have been addressed much earlier. And here's a key point. Love, whether in relationships or life in general, should bring us peace most of the time. If it's consistently causing doubt or discomfort, that's a sign to listen more closely to what your intuition is telling you. Recognizing and trusting that inner voice can make all the difference in maintaining healthy, genuine connections. Let's talk about blame and criticism, specifically the impact of you statements. Couples will naturally disagree at times, but what really damages intimacy is when blame becomes a pattern. When one partner uses phrases like, "you always," or "you never" as weapons, it turns every mistake into a personal attack. This kind of language can feel very attacking and make it hard to resolve issues calmly. Now, there's a difference between constructive feedback and destructive criticism. For example, saying, "I feel hurt when this happens" is a way to express your feelings without blaming. It invites understanding. On the other hand, saying, "you're always selfish" is a blanket statement that labels and attacks the other person, which is much more damaging. Chronic blame, sarcasm, or contempt aren't just unpleasant. They're strong predictors of relationship failure. These behaviors erode trust and connection over time, so recognizing and avoiding them is crucial. Remember, how we communicate about problems can either build bridges or tear them down, and that's key to maintaining a healthy, lasting relationship. Sometimes, the people who know us best, our friends and family, see things that we might overlook ourselves. They often notice incompatibilities or warning signs before we do, because they're less influenced by passion and more grounded in long-term patterns. Of course, the final decision about your relationship is always yours, but it can be really helpful to consider their perspective. They might see recurring issues that are not just isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern. This brings us to a key point. It's important to distinguish between isolated incidents and consistent patterns. Every couple will have misunderstandings, disagreements, or moments of frustration. That's normal. One argument or a single critical comment doesn't automatically mean you're with the wrong person. But if negative behaviors keep happening over and over, if they become a pattern, that's when it's worth paying closer attention. Asking yourself, "Is this relationship truly right for me?" isn't about expecting perfection. It's about assessing whether there's alignment, respect, and room for growth. Love should feel like a genuine partnership, where both people support each other and grow together. It shouldn't feel like performance or constant compromise that leaves you feeling unfulfilled. So keep in mind, look for consistent patterns rather than isolated incidents, and consider your loved one's insights. Those long-term perspectives can help you see the bigger picture and make the best decision for your happiness and well-being. Sometimes, we avoid asking tough questions in our relationships, and there are a few common reasons why. One major reason is fear of loss. We'd rather hold on to the comfort we know than face the uncertainty of what might happen if we ask the hard questions. It's easier to stay in that safe space, even if it means risking deeper issues down the line. Another reason is romantic illusions. Movies, media, and culture often tell us that love should conquer all, and that if we just love enough, everything will work out. That can make us hesitant to question whether the relationship is really healthy or if our needs are being met. And then there's hope for change. We might think, "they'll grow out of this," or "eventually, they'll see my worth." And so we delay asking questions because we believe things will get better over time. But here's the thing, postponing these questions often only makes the hurt worse. When we ask honestly and early, it can save us time, protect our self-esteem, and open the door to a relationship where both people can truly thrive, not just survive. Asking tough questions courageously is ultimately an act of self-respect and care. Love isn't just about that initial spark or excitement we feel when we meet someone new. It's really about choosing someone who can truly sustain your soul over time. And that's such an important distinction. We often forget to ask ourselves one key question: are they truly the one for me? But this question isn't meant to create doubt or hesitation. It's about gaining clarity on whether this relationship aligns with who we are and what we need for a lasting, meaningful connection. Because when love is right, it's more than just feeling good in the moment. It's about feeling right for a lifetime. When you find that, you know it's more than just a fleeting feeling. It's a deep, enduring connection that stands the test of time. So remember, love that lasts isn't just about excitement. It's about choosing someone who truly complements and sustains you throughout your life.